Hey there, fourth grade champion artist. If you want to grab your sketchbook or your notes or just a blank piece of paper and maybe some crayons, colored pencils, markers, or just a pencil if you want to write some colors in there, that would be great. So I have my fourth grade champion artist notes. We're going to talk all about color today. So color, my favorite element of design. We're going to start with the primary colors, so the three colors that cannot be made by mixing. So they're natural. All of their colors on the color wheel can be made by mixing the primary colors. So I'm going to have rojo red, amarillo yellow, and azul blue. And I'm not going to write the word in. I'm just going to do a dot of the color to help me. If you want, you can write it in though with a pencil. So you could write red, yellow, blue, or you could just make a red dot, a yellow dot, and a blue dot. Then it says blank is always at the top of the color wheel, like the sun up in the sky shining down on us. So what color do you think is always at the top that would remind you of the sun shining down on us? If you guessed amarillo yellow, you are correct. So I'm going to put yellow in there, and I might even make it a sun. I'll put some lines shining from it. So the sun up in the sky, yellow's always at the tip top. All right, so always remember, if you're making a color wheel or looking at a color wheel, yellow should be at the top. Then we have secondary colors. Colors made by mixing two primary colors together. Secondary colors are found on the color wheel in the middle of the two primary colors that mix together. So in between red and yellow on the color wheel, if you mix those bad boys up, you would get anaranjado, orange. So I do have an orange crayon, but I'm going to use a little yellow and a little red. And when you mix them, even the crayons start to make an orange. So I'll put the orange next to it just so it's clear to see, because crayons don't mix as well as paint do. But red plus yellow equals orange. And again, you can just add the crayon, you don't have to write the word. So then in between yellow and blue on the color wheel, what color do you think you would get? Yellow plus blue equals verde green. So let's test that out again. So I'll have a little yellow. I'll mix a little blue in there. Oh my goodness. Even the crayon made green. Amazing. Last but not least, we have rojo and azul, red and blue. So we got a little red. We got a little blue. What do you think the last secondary color is? We have orange. We have green. If you remember from Gateway, what colored table is the last one? If you guess violeta purple, you are correct. So I'll try it again. I'll try to mix my crayon colors. I got a little red, got a little blue. Ooh, it's a very deep, dark purple, isn't it? But I have my purple crayon handy just in case. All right, now we have intermediate colors. So we have primary, the three main, secondary colors, orange, green, purple, and then there's intermediate colors. The color wheel's even got more colors on it. Colors made by mixing a primary and a secondary color together. So secondary colors are primary plus primary equals secondary. Intermediates are in between a primary and secondary. So in between, intermediate. That's how I like to think of it. So I'm going to underline intermediate and underline in between so that I can remember intermediate, in between a primary, secondary. So when you name them, the primary color always comes first. So primary before secondary. So if I was naming this, let's say I have a red plus an orange. If I had red plus orange, I would always put the primary color first. So out of these two, red is the primary. So an intermediate color would just be called red-orange. So I'll kind of show you. Red plus orange. Again, I'll start with the primary. Red-orange. So it's like you mixed orange, but you have more red in there than you have yellow. So red, orange. So another one could be red plus purple. And another name for purple is violet. So the color red plus violet, red, violet. Because red is the primary, you do it first. So red, purple, red, violet. So I've mixed those two. It's got more red than blue in it. The next one, yellow as the primary, plus green as the secondary, would make yellow green. I think of this as like lemon lime. You start with your lemon, you add a little lime, and it makes yellow green. Amazing. Next we have yellow orange. So yellow's the primary, orange is the secondary, and I think of yellow orange, this intermediate color, as macaroni and cheese. Delicious. Then let's move on to blue, the primary, plus green, the secondary, and you get blue-green. Blue-green is kind of like a teal or turquoise color. So it's teal, blue-green is like a teal, but if you added white, you'd get a nice bright turquoise. Then the last intermediate, blue, the primary, violet or purple, the secondary, you get what's called blue-violet. So red-violet had more red than blue, blue-violet has more blue than red, if that makes sense. So primary colors over here, secondary colors over here, make intermediate colors over here. It's all about mixing, but you always start with a primary. Primary, secondary, intermediate. And then last but not least on our color lesson today, complementary colors. Oh my. Look their best and brightest next to each other and have high contrast. Contrast means opposite. So they are opposite on the color wheel. So when you mix them together, you do get a neutral muddy shadow. So if you mix the complements together, it makes shadows. But if you have them side by side, they're their best and brightest of all time. So the very tip top of the color wheel, if you remember, is the yellow sun. And its opposite is the very tip bottom of the color wheel, which is violeta purple. And then the other primary color of blue, its secondary complement or contrasting color would be orange. And then last but not least, primary red's complement is secondary green. So if you think about it, some holidays use complementary colors. A lot of sports teams use complementary colors because when they think about their merchandise, their uniforms, they want to be like, you know what, we want this uniform to pop. We want this logo to pop. And we want people to be able to recognize it and look its best, so they use complementary colors. Can you think of a holiday or a theme or a sports team or logo that uses complementary colors? I'm thinking of some right now. Maybe you can think of some too. So hopefully this has helped you review primary colors, review secondary colors, and now we're learning all about intermediate colors and complementary colors, and understanding that opposites look best next to each other but create a neutral muddy shadow when mixed together will help us in our next color theory lesson, 4th graders. So pause the video as needed, review as needed, and rewind, but try to get your notes filled out so that you can understand primary plus primary equals secondary, primary plus secondary equals intermediate, and then get those complementary colors too. You guys amaze me. Keep up the good work. Adios, amigos.